Call the Custer County Board of County Commissioners meeting to order. Let the record show it is 9 o'clock a.m. on April the 4th. Mr. Jolly, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance this morning, sir? Thank you. I appreciate that.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you'd remain standing and join me in a resounding happy birthday song to our county attorney. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Clint. Happy birthday to you.
So much for keeping that secret.
That's right, that's right.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And it's actually Friday, but this is as close as we can get, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good enough.
I'll come back Friday for
Come back Friday, we'll do it again. Well, happy birthday, sir.
Okay.
And Kelly provided goodies in the back here.
Oh,
Well, thank you,
Wow.
Kelly. Thank
You're
you very
welcome.
much.
nice. Madam Secretary, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Flower,
Present.
Commissioner Kanda,
Here.
Commissioner Prince,
Present.
Attorney Clint Smith,
Present.
and Clerk to the Board Kelly Camper present.
Thank you, ma'am. Gentlemen, any amendments to the agenda?
No.
I would like to just add the wet bar plumbing issues to old business.
Old
if I may,
business?
please.
Okay, let me just do that real quick. Anything else?
That's all I have, sir.
Thank you. Okay. And I do not have anything either. So, audience introductions. Miss Jackie, we'll start with you.
Jackie, give us for the sound.
Robert Custer from the airport. Bob Jolly from the airport.
John Goble from Estonia.
Next door.
Tracy Ballard Tribune.
Okay, thank you and welcome. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. Commissioner items. Commissioner Kanda.
Not since yesterday.
Okay.
Well, it seems like just yesterday.
It does seem like yesterday, nor do I. Mr. Prince.
Yesterday we had a discussion about the minimum retaining wall by the steps. I spoke with the planning and zoning gentleman, Mike Carter. He will be here about 10 o'clock to talk to us about what he sees, why he didn't talk to us, and whatever else we decide to rake him over the coals over.
Okay.
You didn't have any excuses?
Do we need to add that to the agenda? If you want to put, it's not really a staff report. Should we put that under new business?
That'd be fine.
Put it on our new business because we might want to make a decision or two. Right?
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Is that all right? So, Mike Carter, Town of West Cliff. Discussion of sidewalk project. Okay, is that all right? Good with that? Okay, thank you. Anything else, sir?
No, that's it.
All right. And attorney items?
Nothing today.
Thank you, sir. Administrative assistant?
Nothing.
Okay.
Now you can spread out. I just want to catch up with the computer.
So we will move into staff reports. First on the docket today is the airport board. So if you gentlemen are ready, we'll gain a few minutes on our schedule today, by golly.
That's a hint.
And you're going to give a lot more.
I mean,
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are
Good
you?
morning. Good morning, my friend.
Robert, you're welcome to come up if you want. Or...
Oh, that's fine. I'm
Okay.
working here.
All right.
Thank you.
he's quick on his feet. He can get up here if he needed to.
Well, good news. We don't have a whole lot to report other than we did sell some fuel in March, 275 gallons or so. And I would like to thank your, I'm not sure what his name is, your custodian.
Oh,
Ed
Ed.
Reinhardt.
Yeah, Ed Ryan.
Ed Reinhardt. He did a good job out at the airport. We
Cleaned that nest up, did he?
Yes, he did. And we didn't ask him to do it, didn't tell him to do it. He just volunteered to do it. So it was
Okay.
very nice. I tried to fix the problem. Dallas Anderson tried to fix the problem. Alan Butler tried to fix the problem. And I finally called the plumber. And then right after I called the plumber, I got a call from your guy. And he said the problem had been fixed.
Now, is this in the bathrooms?
Yes.
Plumbing problem in the bathroom?
Yes.
Good. Good. Glad to hear that. I will pass that
Thanks for
on.
passing those kudos on, because everybody likes to complain about everybody. When we hear something nice, we will pass it on to him. So
That's
thank
why
you
I
for
passed
doing
it on.
Thank you very much.
Good. Yeah,
Just
I
to
think
let you
he's
know.
doing a great job for
I
us,
did.
and I'm glad to
He's
hear
doing
that
a
you're
good job for us too.
Good.
So
Okay.
I don't know if anybody had heard the rumor that Bill Geipel was going to sell his hangar.
Yeah.
Not going to. He's not selling his hangar. He's not moving. So that's good news for the airport. Other than that, don't have nothing.
Bob Giacomelli?
Oh yes, Bob Giacomelli apparently put in a letter of interest and
Yes.
the airport board,
Yes.
and we highly recommend him.
Okay.
Spell his name.
Let me see if I can pull that up real quick for you.
GIA.
Yeah. Comell.
L.I.
I think so.
There's an opening on the board now?
Don't.
GIA.
C-O-M-E-L-L-I.
Let me see.
We have 6 members, we need 7.
Yes.
So you have an opening?
Yes.
Oh, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Yes, we do have an opening.
Potentially to be filled by Bob.
Right.
Oh, let's see here.
And everything else is fine. You working to get a screen on your pump? That's the last I got.
We're working on that. Those things are
Hard to
expensive.
come by.
Well, they're easy to come by. They're very expensive. $532 bucks.
I heard 300 once.
And
Got it?
I did. I
That's
pulled
okay.
it up, but that's
an overlay, we found out that it may be the overlay and not the board
Well, the
itself.
board's fine. I think you just can't read it.
Right. So the overlay, the good news is the overlay's only $250
Well, can
bucks.
you really read any of those computer boards? I mean, if you go down to Allen's place and buy gas, you have to go like this.
Yeah.
And go like this.
You go like that out there, you can't
I
even
mean,
see it at
the
all.
sun, problem is, it faces
Yeah.
east and west.
That's true.
A hood would be the thing to do if we could figure out a way to put a hood just over.
They have a hood. They make a hood.
Share it.
And that would be the answer.
Shielded, I should say.
Yeah.
Anyway, you guys.
Anyway,
working on it.
I'm looking into it,
Okay.
either a shield or a new overlay, and I haven't been out to the airport since yesterday to actually pull it apart to see whether it is the overlay or
Okay.
a shield would do it. So whichever way, I don't think it's the board itself.
No, I don't think it's the board.
good.
Can I ask you, have you gotten a copy of the resolution established as your, so you know now you don't have to get permission to,
Yes.
okay, spend money over, what was it, 300 was the?
Right.
Original.
Yeah, you govern wisely.
Do you,
That's why I'm looking to see if we can get by with an overlay.
Sure, I was just asking what you were
Yeah.
doing.
would you like us to appoint Mr. Giacomelli to the board today?
See, yes.
Is he ready? I mean,
Let me
Yes,
read this
he is.
letter then dated 3/9/18. Dear Brenda and/or board, my name is Robert Giacomelli. I am interested in being a member of our airport board located at Silver West Airport. I've been a board member in the past. My background in aviation is 25 years as an airline pilot, and prior to that, flight instructor, charter pilot, and weather modifier. Sincerely, Robert Giacomelli.
you modify the weather.
Post Office Box 1698,
Yeah, he was
West
a cloud
Cliff.
seeder.
So,
Was that what he was?
Giacomelli.
LLI.
I move that we appoint Giacomelli to the airport board, effective immediately to fill the vacancy.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded to appoint Robert Giacomelli to the airport board. Further discussion? Public comment? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
You want to keep this in a record, or do you want to keep it?
I'll
I've
put
got
it in
it.
the airport file.
Okay. You've got a copy of it?
Yes.
Can you draft a letter and send
Sure.
to him? Thank you, ma'am. So we'll, Brenda will write up a letter of notification and I'll sign it and we'll mail that to him. But you're welcome to tell him whenever you see him. That's perfectly fine there. Did you have any luck tracking down our old buddy Tom Redmond
No.
about that chunk of land?
No,
Do you still need some contact information, or
it'd be very nice.
that was the last word I got, that you didn't have his assistant's phone number in Minnesota?
Somebody in Minnesota, you said?
Yeah, Teresa, I've got her number. It'd take me a while to go through my phone and find it, because actually I can't remember how I filed it, but
I think I probably do have his son's phone number at work on the computer because he's a customer of ours. So I just thought of that when you were talking about phone numbers, so I'll check into it. See
okay.
what it
If
is.
you want me to pursue that, I've dealt with her on other issues in the past, and so I don't have a problem calling her.
Well, we'd just really like to find out if, when they sold the ranch, whether
Right.
that was included
Right.
in it or not.
Right, and that's what I assumed was the question. I did look at the lease of that piece of property, a 50-year lease in exchange for the money donated towards the runway, correct?
Wow.
Right.
So it was not an actual real estate transaction, other than it was a lease. He did not buy that.
That's correct.
So
That's my
I'm with you.
understanding.
I'm very curious to know whether he transferred that lease to the new owners or not, or whether it was forgotten, or...
Yeah. That's really what we want to find out. So in the future, if we can ever use that piece of property,
Right.
we'd be able to use it.
Clint, do you feel like that's something we should have you maybe send a letter directly to him asking the status of that piece of property, or?
Is the deal finalized now? Has anything been recorded with JD yet?
That's what I was just gonna say. Are you talking property, like ground?
Yeah.
Yes.
JD would know.
Yeah.
When the Navajo Nation bought,
You gotta look there first before we
Yeah.
plug in.
yeah, I need to see what's been recorded. It's possible it's mentioned, whatever got recorded could have been, but nothing's been recorded through your office, or you don't know?
No, we've got all that.
So, okay.
Yeah, so JD will have it and he'll have it all transferred so he can look right at that piece
Where
of
is it
ground.
anyway?
and-
Is it
It's north,
north and,
east of the operation.
OMS, yes.
200 by 200 square foot.
200
piece of
feet,
land.
that's right.
So,
Okay, that's the,
Everything
That's a
involved
big
in
piece of
the
property.
lease goes through Jackie.
I can't imagine they would have cut that.
But eventually to JD.
Yeah,
yeah, and Jackie's got a copy of that lease.
okay.
Gotta find out what
But I
the,
don't-
what the deed is
I just
actually.
don't know if it was included in the real estate transaction. but-
All right, I'll take a look and see what I can find out first.
And you know, I guess it could have gone with either property.
Depends on how it was
I don't know.
filed, you know, if it's on that deed. It just depends how they attached it.
Well, it wouldn't have been on a deed, I don't think. There was
It
no
has to have a
deed.
deed of its own.
If it's ground, it'll be on a deed.
Yeah, but not for the real estate transaction. It was a lease. The airport leased him that ground.
Oh, so he didn't actually
No.
own it.
No, he has
No,
he has a
that's what I'm
90,
saying. I don't
what was it,
believe there'd
20,
be
how
a
many year
deed.
lease are they?
50.
No, his was a 50-year lease.
50-year lease on it. It's gotta be recorded.
My best guess is, I doubt that airport property had anything to do
That's
with the...
It's probably just sitting there.
what I would guess, because how would he randomly decide which parcel it went with, number one?
Right.
So,
Well, and that's the whole thing, is we just need to find out what the status
Be
is.
recorded with you. or-
So
right.
we would
That's-
know
Is that
how to
lease
proceed.
That's why I brought it up.
Yeah.
We haven't got
So,
these to record.
I think Jackie's probably got the only.
So Jackie would have the only record on it?
Well,
well, JD might.
they record it and I've not seen a lease come through.
No, this was 12 years ago. I think they're in year 38 of that lease. Got
But a new
38
lease
left.
has
How is
No.
the lease recorded? Is it,
I have no idea.
how's it held?
They don't have to be recorded, I mean,
Right.
leases aren't, so it's,
So somebody had to sign for the airport back then, didn't they?
well, I mean, Jackie's the one that's always
Yeah, she's
maintained
got it.
all the records and everything for all the leases of the property.
JD
There's
won't
not a
have
structure
anything.
on it, it's just raw
No,
land.
it's just raw land.
Vacant land, so,
I'll
well,
look
we'll
into it
pursue
and see
that
what I
and
can
see.
find out.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Good job.
Let's see, anything?
Question if I may. A few months ago, we talked about adjusting, allowing you to adjust prices to be more
Right.
competitive. Is that working out okay?
Yes, it's working real good. And I looked at fuel prices this morning, and they're coming out down good. So if we were to buy fuel today, our price would actually come down from where it is.
That helps.
Which helps.
Great. Thanks. I just wanted
Yeah,
to
it's
update
working.
on that decision we
Yeah.
made, of was it a good one or a bad one?
Yes.
I knew it was good when we did it, but I just want to make sure it was working.
Yes, working good.
Perfect.
It's allowing us to be competitive with everybody else.
So we need to be, of course.
Okay, anything else?
No, sir.
All right. All right, thank you, appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you. You didn't have to call up Cisco Kid in the back.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
We'll pass on to Ed your comments.
Yes, and thank you for those, appreciate it. Thank you, ma'am.
Oh, she's fast.
Telling you.
Thanks down a little bit.
No time like the present.
She
Get it over with.
She goes faster than I.
Before I forget.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
Good money, maybe.
Good morning. Okay. How's things over in the money vault?
Not good.
Not good.
Not good.
If you look at our revenues, and then you look at our paid, disbursements, we are 864,000 we didn't collect, that we had to pay out.
We're waiting for everybody to pay their taxes, huh?
Well, we're in the middle of tax season. This is going to be the first year that I've worked here that we're going to have to transfer money from time deposit to pay the bills. First time ever.
Causing that.
Yeah, what is
You
it?
guys went into the 600,000 over budget, and we're not bringing in money like, so I don't know who's not, if you expected more from zoning or if you expected more from something else. But that's what's causing it. You went into the over the budget.
Reserve, huh? So where are you pulling it from?
We're going to pull it from the time deposit down there, the
How much you gonna
investment. Yeah. Well, I don't know yet. I'm still looking at my bank account. I have 300 and some thousand now, but I have 400,000 going out in bills. I've got payroll went out of 185,000, and we have EFTs, which is benefits that have gone out. And Kelly's report's going to be going out 71,000. So Tuesday I'm going to look at it because I'm sending out to the entities 300,000.
So how much is in the time deposit?
It's right there.
Where is it?
On the
What
bottom.
item? The very bottom?
This is investments.
Oh, I see. Okay.
You're concerned, obviously.
Oh yeah. Very concerned.
So what do we know we got coming in, Virginia? What are
Well,
you expecting? Not
I'm not, I just,
tax-wise.
whatever they send me this month, that's all I can go by, what
I
the
know.
people send me, so I have no
What's been the
expectations.
history?
I haven't looked at history.
don't
Every
take-
year is different.
I know.
Well,
We're at the bottom part of our, we're at 50% of our collection right now.
Okay.
and nothing unusual as far as our disbursements.
No, everything's
It's
about,
just that hit we took at the very beginning on the,
well, on, even now, Road and Bridge had their, I don't know how much went out on them, 2,000, 300,000?
When, last year or now?
No, in this budget.
With that, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know either.
So they're tracking to their budget. I know that. Okay. Library, health insurance fund.
So the difference, 688 and, thank you.
Read it out. All right.
So 864, 563, we're gonna have to transfer.
Well, no, I'm not saying that. I
Got it.
play it very conservatively. If I get more money in, say,
By the end of the month, you mean?
we have homestead is be coming in 170,000, but that's not until like the 17th. We have sales tax will be coming in. That's usually like 40,000. It just depends. I'm going to like look at it Tuesday. I'm going to be very conservative on what I.
So being
have to.
conservative, then you've got your 800 short right now.
I'm 800 short. Well, according to this report.
That's what I mean.
Mhm.
But that's not
Necessarily real
right.
time.
So when you're going to reconcile it, and we're going to know. where-
I'm going to look at it Tuesday to
Okay.
see how much I need to transfer
Okay.
to make it to keep it up from being in a negative balance.
Right.
And I'm going to do that all month long. I'm going to look at it.
So you would wait to transfer it till the end of the month? Is that
No,
what you're going to do?
I'm going to
You're gonna do it now.
Tuesday. I'm probably going to have to transfer some money.
Okay, makes sense.
And do we have to sign anything for that? You can do that.
Good.
Yeah, the only time you guys are involved in the transfer is when it comes from PILT to County General.
So just because the public can't see what we see here, we have enough to do that. Is the point right now?
Right now, but it
And
won't be there very long if you keep doing
Well,
this.
we can't do it every month, for heaven's sakes.
Well, and you can't do it every year
Or
on
every
the
year.
budget. On the budget, you need to be more
Right.
conservative and
That's right. So that's what we have to watch and make sure we maintain the budget we signed up to this year, and we're tracking to it right now. So that's good. It's good to know.
Prince, anything?
Yeah. I'm a little confused. I thought, and help me because I just don't remember, I thought this amount was the amount that we were going to use from Road and Bridge reserves.
That is part of
Road and Bridge.
That's
That is
what it
part of
was.
Road and Bridge reserves. You're collecting the money we're collecting.
Was still,
Road and Bridge hasn't brought any extra money in. They're bringing in the same amount of money. You just use the reserves.
I understand. And the discussion at the time, if I remember, was we would use that reserve rather than keep it in a pot. We'd put it in so it would be used so the roads would be better and the citizens. And that would free up, if we took it out of reserves for Road and Bridge, the amount we fund to Road and Bridge would be that much less because it's a separate tax that goes just to them. We can't move it around, is my understanding. So if we didn't take out of general fund to pay Road and Bridge, but took their reserve to pay Road and Bridge, that would allow the additional funds for our general budget.
What you're seeing here is a collection of this year. It has nothing to do with last year's what you decided on the budget. if you see what I'm saying.
No, I'm confused. I'm very sorry.
That's okay.
I'm
The
not trying to
reserve
be-
is right
I
here.
just
The
don't
road and bridge reserve is in this investment. We're gonna take that money out of there.
Right.
But we have not collected any extra from road and bridge.
Okay.
That's why we're showing.
Right, so just let's restate it then. So zero-sum game, we started the year, we were balanced, everything's fine, and we got a budget, and we're going against it. The assessments are less this year probably, and so
little
that's
bit.
impacting us some, I'm sure. And it'll continue to do it. And we haven't blown out of any of our budget items yet.
Right.
We're tracking to everybody's budget's doing fine right now. But the revenues are less. So and that's why we have a reserve. And that's the good news. Bad news is if it continues, and we got to figure out what's causing it, you know, where we're going to have to generate more revenue from other sources or whatever.
Well,
Yeah,
every
right.
time you go into the budget, you kind of guess that zoning's gonna bring this much.
Right.
or
So we may-
Let's say finish up is
That's right.
gonna do this much, and
What-
if you don't get that.
That's why it's
then-
very important to track it each month, week by week, and I've got the road and bridge guys are doing that. Each department's doing that, and I don't know that. And we need to. You need to check and see so that we see what department. Where are we? Where is the hole? Where is the leak if there is one?
Well, a lot of it is the road and bridge,
Right.
because you are getting into that investment, and I knew you were going to, because
Right.
you went over that, you went
Six
600,000 over.
because that's right because
And
we
that's,
took it out.
that's gonna be telling.
Right. So as long as we hold even with that 600 like we are, we'll be okay.
And I think what I'm hearing, and what I'm hearing is, this is not a good plan long-term.
Right.
We did it this year so we could, A, balance the budget.
Right.
And there was well over $1 million, if I remember, in road and bridge, and we were thinking, the people approved the tax.
Right. That's why we spent it.
Right.
So
And
we're
we did.
okay.
Like yesterday, we bought some trucks and stuff, so I get it, long-term, it is not a plan, by any means whatsoever. But I think we could have anticipated this based upon conscious decisions that we made. And of course, we base our revenues on estimates from JD's office, which may or may not be, they're estimates.
Right, right.
He makes his best guess, and he's very conservative, as you are, and I appreciate that.
Everybody's an estimate on a budget. I mean, you just don't know what you're gonna bring in.
So I'm thinking this was anticipated. Okay, all right, I get it loud and clear.
Yeah.
It was, we all, when I say all, the commissioners at the time said, let's get that money out of reserves and put it to work, which we did, and we agreed to do that. And what you're saying to us is, be very careful in the future. And I appreciate that, and you're absolutely correct.
Yeah, I was concerned in October when they were talking about it. Before I ever took office, I was concerned in November and December when we approved that budget, and I'm still concerned. Everybody's going to have to tighten their belt. We cannot absorb another $600,000 shortfall. So,
So it's a philosophy is what it really is. And the philosophy is, and it's just a decision we're going to have to discuss, how much should Road and Bridge have in reserve, because it can only be earmarked for Road and Bridge. And with the people, our citizens approving it, how much of that do we need to put out for Road and Bridge to do a better job? And I fully understand. We have a significant reserve for the county, but I'm not advocating spending a penny of it frivolously, you know what I'm saying? So this was a conscious decision to put to work the money that the citizens approved. And I think we did.
I'm not worried yet. I'm concerned. And
Well,
we just
and I
got
think
to
that's what
track.
you're
We're
doing.
tracking right to we're tracking. It's
Yeah.
okay.
And when we get closer, you need to come and yell at us, or give us your opinion and tell us where we are, and make sure that we're frugal with county money, but also serve the citizens. And that's the balance that we always do with these budgets. So, not in the next year, I just
Check last year and the year before.
Okay.
Just see what.
This timeline?
Yeah.
Okay.
okay.
well, certainly Commissioner Prince has a significant year of experience on myself dealing with this budget, but it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know we cannot keep going down the path we went down this year. and I am concerned. I don't anticipate the budget request changing significantly from our county departments, but something's gonna have to change, isn't it?
Potentially.
So,
Got any other news?
Yep, that's about as bad as I can get.
That's not bad.
all right, any other questions, gentlemen?
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
You gotta
Gotta,
approve it.
Sign that, that's right, sorry.
he wrote all over it.
I did write on,
I wrote on mine too.
You wanna read this one? I didn't write anything.
the
I got a
original.
clean one here.
The original, yeah. Go ahead, just, that's okay. Kelly, it just goes in Kelly's office.
I will
Kelly's
move
the only
to
one.
accept
The blame.
treasurer's report
I'll second it.
as presented. Been moved and seconded to accept the treasurer's report as presented. Discussion, public comment, hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. Report's been accepted.
Also, I have my public trustee quarter report for you guys to look at.
Sorry, I was getting ready to shake your
You're gonna
hand.
boot her out of
You're
here.
gonna just get rid of me, bad news.
864. 563, thank you.
Is that for
It's a
quarter? Been pretty busy this,
Yeah.
pretty,
Thank you. Accept that as
first
well.
year, first quarter?
No.
Is that unusual?
No.
I'd say.
That's it.
Anything else? Nope. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. Thank you for your work.
See you guys later.
Hey, Virginia, when that reserve was first established, how did they start it? Was it zero to begin with? They
No,
just start
when I
banking
came
it?
into office, it was, I'll bring you some.
Yeah, just let me see that.
Thank
How
you,
it's
ma'am.
grown with time.
What's that?
BSO.
Yeah, I hadn't heard from him, and I don't know.
I talked to him yesterday, so he's around.
Oh, he is. Whoops. I could get
can do.
Laura in. If he's not.
We that much ahead?
15 minutes.
Would have been longer.
John, how are you?
I'm doing good, thank you.
When'd you get in?
Well, I caught in the DIA at 2, and then I didn't even get my car till like 3, so then I came up here.
Come on up here, you don't have to sit
Had a
there.
good breakfast though.
Did you? Good. Willie?
You guys are
Good
early.
morning.
Morning.
Yeah,
Yeah, morning.
early.
How we doing?
Working along this
Good
morning.
thing you're working early too.
Hey, there you go.
Uncharacteristic of us to be ahead of schedule,
okay.
it seems like.
It's all right. Glad to get over here.
How are you doing?
I'm still standing.
Good.
Keep taking the hits, but we'll get into that at the end here real quick. I'll give you the update on what's going on with me, but here's the original. Give you the,
Try not to ride on this one.
yeah. Okay. Alright, Jay. Well, there's your copy. Alright, thank you. Alright, this will be pretty quick today.
Okay.
Monthly report, the standard monthly report. And I don't remember if I explained, but the state, we get funding from the state. This monthly report is why it's so important, because if they don't get this report, the county doesn't get the money. Okay, so I don't know if I ever mentioned it to you previously, but and then the county gets paid twice a year, July and around January is when they get those payments. So when I first started, it was mentioned to me quite often that there's times where they get 4 or 5 months of these reports at one time. So that's the importance of why these are so important. Month report, 47 phone calls, 40 office visits. I was out almost half the month due to personal and medical reasons. And that's the main part as far as that goes. And nothing exciting. And then the back page, of course, the monthly expenses and so forth. So it's pretty straightforward as far as that goes. Nothing real exciting on there to talk about. One of the things that's come up, normally April is the state training conference that is required to go to. With everything that's been going on, and I've been out so much, I asked the state if I could miss the conference because I also am scheduled to go to the national training conference. So the state says as long as I go to the national, could keep my accreditations and my continuing education credits, they'd be fine with that. But I'm leaving tomorrow morning. My dad's passed away, so the memorial in Chicago is this weekend. Take my mom back, and we get back Monday. The state conference starts 8 o'clock on Tuesday. I just told the state it's not going to work. So the state director gave me his blessing to, as long as I get my training done in June at the national, we're good. Okay. Got contacted by email, John Grego, who my point of contact at Senator Bennett's office. He usually comes at least once a year just to have a community meeting type thing, be available to hear any concerns from vets and so forth. He'd like to come either April or May. We're in the process of setting up a date for that, and I'll keep you informed of that. John's been great. He's just been, he's a 20-some, 28, 29-year-old kid. But he's just a bulldog. Anytime I have any issues here and I'm just getting nowhere with the VA, I give him a call, and within 24 hours, they will respond to him. So
I suspect that the three of us would like to meet him, so
oh, absolutely.
Here,
yeah.
Let us know.
I will let you know in advance for sure. But he's been just a lifesaver for me. So, the only other thing is my medical update. It's been a crazy 3 months, and it just keeps going. So, I was scheduled to have this hernia surgery, which I had to get done before they do the tumor removal. The morning of my dad's memorial, I woke up with a bad virus, which was 2 days before the surgery was scheduled. I had to go to the emergency room, couldn't breathe, totally infected, antibiotics for 10 days. And so they canceled the surgery because you can't do surgery when you have an infection going on. So now we've rescheduled for 2 May. And hopefully CU wants me to get up there as soon as possible, get the tumor out. But I can't get that done until the other one's done. So then Dad passed away in the middle of all this. So we're leaving tomorrow for Memorial, but we just keep plugging away and do the best we can, keep you updated and type of thing. So
for the county, we are so sorry to hear about your dad.
Yeah.
And we all contacted you.
Yeah, and I really appreciate that. And I pass it on to Mom. I really appreciate it. So, and the other thing was when Dad went down to Hildebrand down in Canyon, Mom was pretty adamant Dad's not going by himself. So we got approval. She went in as assisted care, but we brought her back home. So she's back home with me now. So.
Is there anything the county can do to help you personally, or
No, just
hang in there with
hang in there with me with it.
We're with you.
Yep.
I mean, we're on your side.
Yeah, and when I get back, and we'll hit the ground running and try to get caught up on stuff and return calls best I can and let us know. And everybody's been great about understanding it. So, but I just want to give you an update.
We're standing by you.
Yep. Okay. Appreciate it. Any questions for me?
Yeah, I've got a question.
Yeah.
On your report. I see there's an auto repair. Is that a service that
part of the trust fund?
The trust fund covers that? Is it of any concern of ours as to the
No.
dollar amounts on all that stuff? Or
No, because the trust fund is actually not we
money.
support it. It's actually administered by the VFW. It's a grant that goes to the VFW, and we just support that. So any of the expenditures, and someone asked me my first year, well, why don't you be the grant administrator? And I said, well, because I'm operating as a county employee, that grant has to be administered by a nonprofit, and they want to get into any gray areas with that. If there's any perceived that it was being administered by the county, then the VFW or previously the Legion could be at risk of that grant. So the auto repairs. Some things like safety issues. I know last year we did like 4 sets of tires last year because we had vets pulling up. When you look out their car and the 4 tires were bald, just bald as all get out. And so those are considered things that the grant we can't get approval for. So, okay.
The other thing I wanted to pass on to you was when I have the opportunity, I have indicated to a couple organizations that the fewer meetings can be held in your VSO building over there, the better, because you need some privacy. And so I think we need to look at maybe changing our policy of use over there.
Well, policy when my first year kind of got established was that at that time when I first started, it was only Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, and then I went full time that August. But that during hours from 8 to 4, no meetings would be held there, and that's kind of get settled in, and it's been fine. So the earliest any meetings start is 4. And usually my last appointment, I usually schedule thing when they come in is 3, so then usually by 3:34. Every once in a while I have some of my younger vets who are still working, and we'll set up a time when they can come in. I know there's no meeting, and I'll meet them at 5 or 6 and so forth. Because
So it hasn't been a problem, or is it?
No, it hasn't been a problem per se. Usually we've kind of settled in to where they don't start at 4. Sometimes they start somewhere at 3:45, but I look at the calendar. If the calendar shows someone's going to be there at 4, I usually try to work my day. Like my last person, I've usually got them out by 3:30, 3:45. I may stay and do some paperwork and get caught up on stuff, but
So you're not having anybody schedule afternoon meetings in prior to 4?
Nope.
Good.
No, hasn't been an issue. So, okay.
How much of that building are you using? And I'm going to preface this by telling you where my mind is working.
Yeah.
We're having some significant issues with privacy with our public health office. She currently has 3 offices. Is there, I mean, because you're both so confidential, do you have space available, or is it?
No, well, technically, the area that is my office, and then just outside, there's a little waiting area.
Right.
That is really my area.
Right.
Okay. And then, of course, the sheriff's office next door. Sheriff Byerly's been great, that if something comes up, he's given me a key to use that office if need be. I've had situations where I've had either a VA counselor come up for voc rehab or something, or other situations where I can have someone use that office while I'm working and so forth. So, but as far as what is considered my area is my office and that waiting area where I have a computer workstation there, and because I do have some vets who come in who don't have internet access and they check on stuff through VA e-benefits and so forth. So, but that's really about 200 square feet. Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Get your life settled down, and
we're working on it.
I appreciate that. Sorry you have to go through all this stuff.
Yeah, it's just, it's just life. Just curveballs, and you deal with them, and you keep driving on. So we'll be all right. But in the meantime, I appreciate the county's support.
You got it.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I would move we accept Veterans VSO report for the month of March.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded to accept March Veteran Service Officers report. Any discussion? Any public comment? Yes, ma'am.
Question, what's your database now, Tim?
451. It keeps growing. This month was, I said, I was not.
Thanks.
Okay, no problem. It just continues to grow. So we started at 60 something. So let's keep growing it.
Further comments from the public? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, motion carries. I will sign your report, sir.
Hey, thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you for coming in.
No problem.
Have a
Good
great
seeing you.
day.
Okay.
That's the plan.
Be
Thank you,
careful
sir.
this weekend on all your travels.
Yeah, so far the weather looks good. So
Good.
Chicago's got some snow chances.
Yeah.
Yes.
Comments. Would the county entertain any idea of sending some flowers to the memorial?
Not a bad thing.
Certainly would entertain a motion to that effect. You can include a dollar amount.
I'll move that we authorize Ms. Katie to help us send flowers not to exceed, I don't know,
You're running about $50.
$50? $50, not to exceed $50 with condolences from the county of Custer, or Custer County.
I'll second that motion. Been moved and seconded to authorize Brenda to assist us in sending flowers to the memorial in Chicago. Discussion, public comment. Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you ahead of time, Miss Brenda.
Yeah, I just need to know.
We'll find out
details.
where.
Yeah, track all that down. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
We'll move to Human Services. How are you?
I'm all right
Of our agenda.
so far.
Could you pass appropriate birthday greetings to said council this morning for his birthday on Friday? Since you weren't here when we sang happy birthday to him this morning.
Did you make her sing separately?
No, you don't want that.
Okay. We could, but
I moved that.
No, no, you do not want that, I'm telling you right now.
well,
Yes.
good morning.
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you. Friday.
Friday, what is that, the 6th? Okay, all right. And I'm not even gonna ask how old you are because it doesn't really.
Volunteer 73.
Oh, wow, okay. You're just a spring chicken.
Yeah, just hitting the high low.
Yeah, I never thought I'd get anywhere near this stuff. Who knows?
Who knew?
That's true. That's true.
I know, this is what my mom said when she goes, I'm going to be 80 years old. I never didn't think I'd live that long. Well, you did. She made it to 83, so I guess that was...
And we had a courthouse
As old as you
birthday on April 1st.
Is that Virginia?
And so she said, out of curiosity, she wondered how many times April 1st and Easter coincided.
Oh, that's a good point, yeah.
And
Remember
so they
it
looked
ever.
that up, and
Probably has,
since
but
the mid 1700s, it's occurred 7 times.
Oh,
That's
wow.
it? Wow.
So-
Dang. No wonder you don't
That's
remember.
why I don't
So
remember.
she thought
Yeah.
that was.
It's only been on my birthday, maybe once or twice that I recall all these years.
Yeah. Yeah, because it moves all the time, so you don't know that. Huh, interesting.
So you're the document lady.
I am the document lady.
Let
And
us.
Brenda and I tried to put them in order. And here's the key word to that was after I gave them to Brenda and told her how to do it, I didn't staple mine, but I think I paper clipped them. And if you will look, we have redone them again.
Okay. Well, I'm scrambling. I've got the list with our board packet, but then Brenda sent us a list with the order, but you think you're close to that or not?
Oh, I think so. Because we went through them and then I paper clipped it. So, and I just took the paper clip off, so I think we're okay. But do you have this one?
I have
Ford.
I have that one in front of me.
And Bill does, so. And that was the one that was really confusing, and we took a lot of the stuff out of it, and now I just have additional pages.
Okay, what are you calling that one?
It is expenditure and
Balance for 50.
unexpended balance. Speaking of mouthful, that's what I have, so I can't say certain words that this doesn't happen for me.
Looks like this.
I'll look at mine. Let's see if you want.
Well, I've got it. It's just a matter of figuring out which one to try to open based on the names, because the names do not coincide, so it doesn't matter.
Oh.
It's your secret on how to do this. You open them all at the same time, and then you can just click on kind of open on the bottom and just pick the one that you do.
And we tried to put them in order, so the first one that you have should be this one. That's what we're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
Keyword was trying.
Got it. So while he's looking, I'll ask you the question I ask every single month. Any anomalies, unusual, anything that we need to know?
No.
Things percolating along okay?
We're percolating. Let's see. Rhonda and I are going up Monday for a training in Denver on our electronic data management system, where we're going to scan stuff into our client cases instead of supposedly having paper copies. We can scan them directly into the case electronically. So we're going up there to Denver on Monday for that. And then in a couple of weeks, Stacy and I are going to Canyon City for a 3-day training on adult protection that we have to do. So, and then she's got to go to Denver for another training. So we got people here and there and back and forth and trainings and everything else. LEAP is winding down. This is our last month for LEAP. People need to get in their applications in for LEAP because the program will be over. We're down a little bit statewide on applications for LEAP, but I think it's because the winter has been mild statewide, and so they're not seeing as many applications come in. So what can happen with that is at the end of the LEAP year, if there's leftover funds, then they give all of the recipients they'll do an extra LEAP payment. But we don't know what's going to happen. We never know until the end of the year, depending on how many funds were used, what's left, and that type of stuff. So,
Can I ask one more question?
sure. Oh yeah, go ahead.
I've seen you've been advertising for your open position.
Mhm.
I'm just curious, have you received viable candidates?
We only have 2 applications. It closes. They're supposed to get the applications in by Friday.
Okay.
I had somebody pick up an application. They haven't returned it.
So you have some activity going
We
on. So I
have
want to
a
make
little
sure
bit
that
of
we're
activity.
working on
We
it.
have a little bit of activity. I was hoping to have more, but because it requires the degree, and statewide there is a shortage of caseworkers, social workers, statewide. So it doesn't really surprise me. El Paso County told me they're short. They're down 30 caseworkers.
Wow.
I'm like, are you kidding me?
Wow.
Yeah.
We're lucky we got a couple.
I was like, wow. I thought they probably just have 30 caseworkers. I don't know. He's told me the other day, he goes, yeah, we're down 30 caseworkers. And I'm like, are you sure about that? I think that's a lot. I'm sorry. I don't think I really think that he knows what he was talking about. He's not the director or anything. He was just somebody who was at the meeting. I'm like, what? I'm not sure about that.
Well,
Did you find it? Oh, okay. So this one used to have a lot more on the bottom, and we took that off and just put the ones where we actually had to budget stuff for. And because that's what the county has to do, I mean, they have to put in a certain amount of money. So that's why that's there. And we took, some of the others are pass-throughs, so we got those off of there, and so it just makes it not so hard to read. And since we're just beginning in the year, we're fine on everything. So, and then the next one is the state allocation, which is not a good form, but I don't want to change it because it's on the fiscal year. So in July, I'm going to change this form up, but it's too hard to try to mess with it right now. Okay, so I thought about not even including that because it's not really good. Then the next one I have is the old age pension. That's one where we don't budget anything for, and so we just changed it just to show how many households, and then we have just a graph. So that just shows you how many payments were made and the expenditures on it, and that's all state funded.
Show me that one.
That's in your packet. It's the third from
12,
the last.
565.
Oh, it is, because this one is blank. Okay. So we went third to the last? Okay, got it.
Oh. So I do have them out of order. So I did mess those up, didn't I, Brenda?
Well, I mean, it's your show. So.
No, I don't think it is, actually, you know.
If you want the audience to
God.
keep up with you, why?
Yeah, it don't matter.
Okay.
And then I have the Medicaid transportation, which is another just pass-through thing. And that, there again, we just did it easier so you can just see how many payments.
This is so
Right
much.
after.
It is so much better, isn't it? Instead of everything just being glommed on one page. And LEAP is the same way. And it's just another pass-through, and we don't even pass that through because all the payments are automated and we don't do anything with them. So that just shows you how many and how many and what we paid out in that month. So
that's one of the reasons we're having more documents, because you broke them out.
because I broke them out so it's easier to understand.
Okay.
And then then we have the energy outreach program. That's another one, and we just show how many payments we had that month. And then community service block grant, the CSBG, that will show.
I just now got your EOC opened. That's how long it's taken it to open.
Oh, because it's slow.
I see the documents. It's just then. So
Okay.
you're 54% expended on the EOC.
Yeah. Yes. Because that runs funny, if you'll notice.
It's October.
It starts in October and it runs here, so it's
Going by a government
yeah,
fiscal year.
yeah.
It's half the year.
That's half the year. And then the community service block grant, when you look at that, it shows 0 payments because we haven't had anybody since January apply. Oh, that's not true. I have somebody that's applied. I just haven't made a payment yet. So that's why there's zeros in there. But that's the amount they've given us so far, this $14.30. We're supposed to receive more money. We haven't done that yet. So I don't know. It's supposed to be coming in.
And that's January through December.
Yep. That one runs January through December. And then this is the food stamps, and then this just shows the SNAP, the food benefits, shows how many households in January and February, the top, and then just a graph, and how the dollar amount that we spent. Well, not we, but that was given out. And some of these they're just informational things, so you understand. I mean, have some idea of the amount of people that we're serving. And then the TFAB.
It says FA benefits at the bottom graph. What is that?
Food assistance.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's SNAP. It says SNAP here at the top, which is,
We've talked.
yeah, it stands for whatever it is. Assistance program. I don't know. What was SNAP? I'm trying to think what that's.
Subsistence.
Yeah.
State something maybe.
State nutrition something that they call it SNAP.
Something.
Assistance program.
Food stamps, right?
Yes, it used to be the food stamps. Luckily we don't do that anymore. Way back when that first started, you had coupons, but you had to buy the coupons. So if you were eligible for $100 worth of food coupons, you may have to pay $25. So people were always at the end of the month trying to make sure they had enough money to come in and purchase their food benefits. So they got smart and did away with that. And now, instead of just telling them, now you owe 25, now we just give them 75. Well, that made more sense. It's like, yeah.
And that's done via a card?
Yes, and now we do. It used to be coupons. We had to have these coupons, and now we've been card for a long time. And when we went to the card system, we were a pilot county.
Oh, really?
It was us, Fremont, and Pueblo, because we're small, Fremont's a medium, and Pueblo's a large. And we were all within 100 miles, or 100 miles, 50 miles of each other. And so it made it easy for the state to come up, and they wanted that type of grouping. So that was interesting. But yeah, we've been on the coupons for the cards for a long time.
And I see 210 households for February, correct?
Right. Yes, sir. And then our TFAB, our commodities.
Hold on just a second. Got it. It just that's how long it takes to load it.
Yeah. And that just shows you how many households or something. I don't know. I didn't do this one, so number of persons, number of households. Oh, I see. Okay. Okay.
So the distribution out, that's pounds of food, correct? 22 households, 49 people.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
And as an ongoing educational process for me, where does that food come from?
Well, that's a good question. It's state funded. What it used to be was way back when it started, we had butter and cheese, that excess butter and cheese years ago.
Right.
And we gave that away. And now we get it, Karen Shares brings it up, but it's through the temporary emergency food assistance program. And it's funded through the state or the feds.
So they bring it up from Pueblo? Karen?
Yeah, they do. I'm pretty sure it's Pueblo. They send us a thing and saying, this is what we have this month, how much do you want? So then we fill it out, and then we have to track how much we get. We have to make sure that people who are receiving it are income eligible for that and that they live in the county. Then we get some that comes just strictly from Care and Share that we don't have to track. And that's stuff
You just give it away.
we just give it away. We don't care who gets it. The sharing center down here gets a lot of that from the Care and Share, and they don't have to track any of that. That's fine, but the stuff that we get from TFAB, we have to track. We have to keep track of that.
And do you give out all of that food every?
Yeah, we
Just
do.
on a weekly basis?
Oh no, monthly.
Monthly. And so you don't have much carryover
No.
food?
No, we don't.
It's like canned food and stuff.
It's canned. We get dried, like noodles. We get canned food. We get canned juice. Then we do get stuff like we got eggs the last couple of times. And sometimes we'll get meat. We haven't had that in quite a while, but we have freezers so that we can put that stuff in. We had frozen diced carrots, so we have those. I don't have the list with me right now. Pinto beans, sometimes we get that type of stuff. And then we'll get a lot of breads and cakes and pastries. Those are coming from like Walmart or someplace that it's almost expired, and so they freeze them and then they send them to us, and we keep them frozen, and then we hand them out. So yeah, sometimes in the summertime we'll get like bags of carrots and potatoes, and we have to be careful because we have it in the backside of the scale house, and in the summertime it gets hot, and so we can't keep that stuff very long, so we got to keep an eye on that.
Okay.
But that's all I have, unless you have anything else.
How's things going in your office?
Okay.
Good.
Yeah, okay. Where the commodities are right now, Monday, since Rhonda and I are gone, that's when the commodity truck's coming in. So we're going to have to work on and figure out something there. And then the day that we do a distribution, Stacy and I are gone that day. So we're going to have to figure out something for that so we can get stuff worked out.
Is that something we could ask a volunteer to come in and help?
We have volunteers that come in and help us on the distribution date. So we're gonna gal's coming in on Friday, and we're gonna have a conversation about what we're gonna do with that, just to help us with that for right now.
So you're confident you're gonna get that covered?
We'll get it covered. Yep, we'll get it covered.
You would let us know if something comes up.
I will let you know, and you can come out there and.
That's what we're thinking. The three of us go out there, roll those sleeves, and we need to.
Well, bag it up.
Well,
yeah.
We can go set up tables and chairs at the health clinic. We can sure.
Well, that is true. Now, we think because we've got the volunteers that come all the time, and so we'll just make sure we get them on board. And Stacy's going to go out Monday while we're not here, just when the truck comes in, and count it and make sure you have to do that, make sure everything's there. And then on distribution day, Rhonda's just going to kind of go out and make sure everything's going okay. And it takes about an hour, so it's not a huge time. It just depends, but yeah, it's usually about an hour, maybe a little more.
Well, I would certainly be available to help if you need it.
Okay.
And you're going to be down an employee in a couple months, huh?
Yes, the end of May.
Retiring. End of May.
End of May.
Oh, she is.
Yep, she's retiring.
30 years?
No.
20?
No, she started in 91.
Okay.
So whatever that is. Yeah, so that's when, so she's going to be gone.
27.
27 years.
Wow.
7, right?
Yeah. So, and that's why we're trying to get the new caseworker in so we can get them trained, because they have to go through the training academy and everything else. And
you're going to promote within your office to fill Linda's position?
Stacy's going to become the supervisor, and then we'll get the new caseworker in. And they'll be taking over the APS to the adult protection side of that. So we have the plan, we just got to get it.
Filled.
We got to get it filled and get it going. Yeah, so that is our plan. All right.
Very good. Thank
All
you.
right.
Appreciate it. Thanks for coming in.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yep, thanks.
And Tom, I just want you to know
Yes, ma'am.
that conversation we had earlier about Kelly.
Yes.
Brenda is my witness from yesterday. Is that right, Brenda?
Yeah.
He probably wasn't being truthful.
Yeah, I'm not sure I could accept that at face value. There might be some collusion going on back there. I understand it, sister.
Appoint me a special counsel.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Laura.
All right.
Laura, you can do that.
Oh, okay. All right.
Let me.
You got the coffee back there, Brenda? Yes.
You want it? I'll bring it.
Thanks. I'd love a cup.
You
Yeah.
want creamer?
Yep. Forgot to get it. Been dying ever since.
We'll move on to old business if I think that concludes our staff reports. So, first item under old business, personnel policy changes, adoption of resolution 18-03. Mrs. Camper, the floor is yours.
Okay, I'm trying to think, was that in January we started this whole thing? Or December, somewhere in
December's
there?
when we stood it up.
You guys wanted us as a group to take a look at the personnel policy again. So the elected officials and the department heads, we had one get together. Well, everybody looked at it, then we had to get together, went over everything, everybody made their suggestions and changes. And then we had a workshop with you guys last week and went over all those changes again. And everybody at this point is good with all the changes. There weren't really that many made. They were, yeah, they were pretty,
words,
yeah.
a couple things.
So at this point, Clint has suggested that we make the changes by resolution. You guys also want everybody, the elected officials, to re-sign the personnel policy itself. So I guess today we just need to handle the resolution, and then we'll have Brenda or, yeah, I guess you did it last time, handled all the signatures, all of us signing off on it,
Okay.
on the personnel policy.
Okay, and we're gonna make sure we get the title page of that personnel policy change to reflect 2018, correct? It was
Yeah,
2017.
to reflect that date. I guess we can change it to today's date since we're doing a resolution
Yeah,
today.
we did. It's dated today.
Yeah, and I don't know, Donna and I discussed at one point getting copies out to everybody again, and I don't know that you want to do that because that's 70-ish people, and that's a pretty several trees. So I don't know how you want to, I've got that list that I typed up that has all the changes page by page and whatever. We can just send that out, or
Can you
I don't
email
know.
it?
Yeah, we can email it. I don't know how you want
Everybody
to
can email it, I guess.
handle
No,
that.
we can
Actually, all
a
of it.
link to it off of the.
So all the
website.
employees currently have one.
Yes.
And, okay, so I would be fine if we sent out just, here are the changes.
What the changes
please
are.
Addendum to.
Fix it. So my question is, we're going to have the elected officials sign off on it. Do we need to have the employees sign off on it also?
No.
No.
I've never
Policy
seen that in.
that
Okay.
That's
you and
policy.
the elected officials have agreed upon. They don't have to agree to it or not. It's what you
And I-
That's what your office is.
And I think the things that all the employees signed before were all those addendums in the back, what were those, Brenda? I can't even think of one of them off the top of my head.
Drug test
And none
policy
of those changed.
Open policy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Okay, I just wasn't sure how we wanted it.
Yeah.
I personally have no problem sending an addendum. Please update your personal policy with these changes. I think that makes much more sense than reprinting the whole thing for.
Yeah.
And then the new
majority.
policy is going to be on the website.
Well, that's what I was just gonna say, the policy's on the website, right?
Yeah.
So they can go in and look at it and,
Yeah, there was confidentiality, drug and alcohol,
Yeah.
conflict of interest, outside employment.
Yeah.
Those addendums were.
Yeah, and none of
And
those
none of that
changed.
changed. And again, most of it was housekeeping. Instead of referencing Colorado revised statutes, we actually put the number in there or a link to
Or a
that.
link, yeah, a link to the statute.
A couple substantive changes, but I mean, we all agreed on them, so I think they're okay.
So we have 2 signature pages today. One obviously is the resolution, and then the other is Chapter 12, the adoption, a signature page that the 3 county commissioners and elected officials would sign. So, and I don't know if these signatures really indicate have received and read. I don't know what
think
this signature page
those-
really attests to.
Those just attest to, like, the department heads, like Laura, Jackie, all them are under you guys. These are just saying that the elected officials acknowledge the policy and will follow the policy the same as you guys.
If I remember last time we had, did all the elected officials sign it?
All
About
except
one.
one.
One. That's what I was concerned about. I'm wondering if that person will sign this.
They all had their input, so there shouldn't be any issue.
Doesn't,
They were happy
it
with
doesn't
it.
really matter because they
So
don't
it
have any
doesn't matter.
employees anymore, so.
So, would you like a motion?
I would.
I'll make a motion.
Let me move this time.
Yeah, please do.
I feel left out.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't mean to. I don't mean
You get to have all, you cornered the
your
motion
thing.
market. I move we accept or adopt the resolution adopting the 2018 Custer County Comprehensive Personnel Policy, resolution number 18-03.
Okay, I'll second that. It's been moved and seconded we adopt the personnel policy via resolution 18-03. Discussion.
I would just like to commend Kelly and the staff for the amount of work they put in to fix this and take out typos and all that stuff, and Clint. I mean, all the people involved, I compliment you on a job well done.
Yeah, there was a lot of people involved.
That's what I meant.
Right, and I'd like to also say it was worth the team building exercise. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I think we were rapidly approaching the end of a lot of people's ropes on their patience and effort to hammer on this much more, so I thought everybody worked together well. Thank you. Comments from the public? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Resolution 18-03 has been approved. Should I read that into the record, Clint? Or?
It's a pretty short one. You can read it.
Okay. Resolution 18-03, a resolution adopting the 2018 Custer County Comprehensive Personnel Policy. Whereas the Board of County Commissioners for Custer County, a political subdivision of the state of Colorado, has been presented for its review and consideration a proposed revision of the current Custer County Comprehensive Personnel Policy. And whereas the board has examined the proposed revision and has received input from the elected officials and the department heads of the Custer County government concerning said revision, and whereas the board is satisfied that the proposed revision establishes appropriate policies and procedures for the employees of Custer County and will serve their best interest by providing clearly defined guidelines and protocols regarding their rights and responsibilities. Now therefore be it resolved that the proposed 2018 Custer County Comprehensive Personnel Policy should be and is hereby approved and adopted this date and shall be effective immediately. All previous personnel policy manuals for Custer County government employees are replaced by this 2018 personnel policy, done this 4th day of April 2018. Signatories Tom Flower, Bill Candid, J. Prince. Attestation Kelly Kemper. you. Next item of business, under old business, is the Wetmore plumbing issue. Commissioner Prince.
Thank you. I've been dealing with this for quite some time. I've always called it a fixture, but I'm going to tell you it's the men's urinal in the bathroom downstairs. Just because that's the fixture. It has had an issue from day one with it not, with a foul odor. Either the plumbing was bad, the fixture was bad, it wasn't installed right, I don't know. I asked a local plumber, licensed plumber, Jerry Greenstreet. I just talked to him about it. He said, hey, I'm going down that way, let me take a look. So he didn't charge us anything, it's just kind of a friend. He went down and he said, he can't see anything from the outside wrong with it, so maybe there's a valve on the inside that's not opening and closing to let the sewer gas come back up. He said he would have to take it off the wall and it would be extensive. And I felt that's beyond where we want to go. I've been making issues of this from as soon as we were told from the people down in Wetmore that this was a significant issue. I've been complaining mostly to Tom Duke, who is the architect. I was told early on to deal directly with him, and he would deal with the contractor. I had some discussion with legal counsel because we weren't getting anywhere, and legal counsel advice was wonderful and got an immediate response. Unfortunately, I don't like the response. What they're saying is the cost will be $960, and the assumption I'm getting just reading this is that they anticipate we authorize that and pay for it. I think personally this should be their responsibility. It was part of the plans to build that men's restroom appropriately. They put in a fixture that was not functioning properly. The 960 was for a flush toilet, not a waterless toilet. The one that's in there now is a waterless toilet.
Is that why there's a
I didn't
cost
make that very
difference?
clearly, I'm sorry. Yeah, the waterless one, I think those of us who are accustomed to them, they generally work very well, and it's not an issue. This one does not down in Wetmore. So that's been the ongoing issue. So I said to them, you need to do one of two things. The Wetmore folks were fine if it just got removed, and I said, remove it, but I want a refund of what the costs are that you put in. They didn't like that idea a whole lot. And they said we could put it in, run water to it, and just make it a regular flush urinal. Proposal is $960. I have not responded to this. I got it yesterday. What I would like to do with approval is to go back to them and say, we agree, go put it in, but this is your expense, not ours. It was not done appropriately, and I feel that this should have been appropriately done and probably should have been fixed immediately. So that's just kind of where I'm bringing it up. I wanted to throw the number out. I want to say what my suggested course of action is at this moment. So let's see what they respond.
See what they respond. It doesn't cost us anything to ask.
I mean, I honestly feel we paid for a men's restroom with fixtures that operate properly, and we have one that doesn't, and that's part of their job.
Why did they put in a waterless one anyway?
You know, at the
somebody
time,
do a trade on it or something?
You know, they actually made that decision on their own. It just calls for a urinal. And I really didn't have...
The contractor made that decision?
Yes. And I really didn't have a major issue with it when it was proposed because, you know, I've used it before. There's not an issue. They do save a little water. It's not that big a deal. However, this one is a big deal. And the people are upset down there, and I fully agree with them. So, I guess, you know, if you both agree that this ought to be their responsibility, not ours, I'm going to go back to them and say, go put it in, but don't send us a bill.
I don't think we're going to have any luck, but
okay.
Worth a try.
All right. Well, I'll go ahead and do that. I'll take that as a consensus, and I'll just report back on whatever we get back. Fair enough?
Yeah, I've got a couple comments. I just am looking here. Can't believe everything you see on the internet, but A
Doesn't
price
cost
of a
much.
standard waterless urinal appears to be between $400 and $500.
Right, and then hanging it, plumbing it, and all that.
Exactly.
You gotta put water in that wall now.
So that's one of my concerns, and that may be because I see, according to your notes here, it's just supply and install the new urinal and new flush valve. Doesn't say anything about installing a water line to it. I don't know if there's a water line in that wall or not. I see that they would pressure.
It's right next to the sink.
Water close, but it's probably not.
And I
You
agree.
gotta break open the wall,
I
it
don't
costs
know.
whatever it costs.
I'm assuming their $960 quote is a turnkey. That's the assumption, it doesn't say this.
Yeah. So I guess number one, I would be a little concerned about what that dollar figure does include, because they may say, okay, we'll do it. Well, then they get down there and say, well, we're gonna have to charge you $1,200 to get the water over to the urinal itself. I don't know that, but, and then secondly, we're gonna have a $400 or $500 waterless urinal on our hands. That's,
Right. And it also will have additional expense because the proposal excludes any all patching of walls, any masonry or tile work. So,
and this is Duke with Whitlock?
yes. No, Duke is an independent architect. Whitlock was the contractor.
Yeah, I certainly would support you contacting them and saying, you need to fix this, we're not paying a dime, we've already paid for it.
That's exactly my approach.
I've not looked at any of the warranty papers, I did go through that notebook, but I didn't specifically look up the warranty papers on that, but surely that's.
It's a one-year warranty, but my assumption, my belief would be that even if it goes beyond the warranty period, if the issue was identified and there was conversation prior to the warranty ending, it's an ongoing issue that needs to get resolved.
Exactly. Not that I have an extensive amount of experience with urinals, but I certainly supervised high school students
Wait a minute.
installing 4 of them.
What do you mean? Tell me.
And it's not rocket science. But getting water to it could be an issue.
Yeah, that's right.
Right, they're gonna have to open the wall to get the water there and then,
Yep, right.
I mean, it's
Installed it either.
I've installed 4 of them, so flush, not waterless. So my next question would be then, did Green Street offer up any cost estimate?
I did
if
not
he
ask,
the work?
I did not ask him. I asked him to look at it and say, is there a simple fix here? Because if he would have said, oh yeah, I just need to change the whatever, I would have said, go ahead. And I may have even paid him out of my own pocket just to get it done.
If the hardware costs $400, you can bet that the labor is gonna be close to it.
Especially if you go through these guys. I mean, my experience in the construction industry, we could hire someone to do it probably half as much as
Right, they keystone
these
it.
guys.
Labor-wise, but if
So-
that costs that much, it's.
Well, a flush urinal is gonna be probably under $120.
Might
So,
be. Could be.
But let's start with that if you don't mind, and then if they say no.
Why don't you ask Green Street
we're
to
not doing it.
put an estimate together? He's looked at it already.
I certainly can, but
Just get it in your
would we
pocket
want
so
to
you can
have,
deal with it.
Let's see what we get back from these guys.
if it's okay with you, Bill, I'll just go to them and say, we think we need to, thank you for sending this. We believe this is your issue. Go
See what they
fix
do.
it. Go fix it.
Well, do you want to offer to just let them have that waterless?
I'll give it, yeah, because,
Let them take
Take it and trade.
Yeah,
Hadn't been used much.
yeah,
apparently.
I mean, if we end up with an extra fix.
That might be a problem.
If we end up with an extra fixture, that's not appropriate.
How
They
they
can
work.
take a fixture and hang it somewhere else.
He may
They
not.
dry up, probably.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, take a second and read through that, but,
Just playing in it with wings on their feet.
okay, we can move ahead, give you a chance to read that if that's all right. So you're good with that, Bill, by consensus? Thank you for keeping us updated, sir, on what's going on. Any further old business?
Yes, did you want to just, oh, was that new business?
That was old business.
Sorry.
So if hearing none, we'll move on to new business. We have 2 items, and we will start with Mr. Carter. We've invited him to come visit with us. You're welcome to come up, sir, if you would. Thank you for being here. There's a reason, John, we're holding you to last, obviously. Okay, thank you. Good morning. How are you?
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Got to shake my hand.
Yeah, it's a requirement.
Okay.
Well, thanks for taking time to come sit with us. Obviously, I don't want to call it an issue, but the point of conversation
You bet.
was whether or not to do a retaining wall.
Right. We elected not to do a retaining wall. I got some not fancy drawings here, but I just want to show you what I'm talking about.
Thanks. That isn't very
It's
fancy.
not fancy at all. On your north sidewalk, right out here, the first drawing, the top drawing, within 3 feet of your sidewalk there, your turf raises up 8 inches.
Okay.
And within a few more feet raises up 12 inches above the sidewalk. So you've already got a huge elevation change as it is right there. Now the bottom drawing, the deepest part, or the highest part of where we've changed the elevation, which is down here on this corner pretty much, is only 10 inches. Now we're recommending, you folks said you wanted to take some of that off, maybe put in a sprinkler system, but at very least improve your drainage there. If you only were to take off 2 inches of that, we could construct, or you could construct the same look that you already have. It's on the top drawing, and we're recommending and thinking that you ought to at least take 4 inches off of that, maybe even 6 inches off of that to improve your drainage out there. You actually lose elevation as you get closer back to your building. So you're
Worried
not
about cutting the
draining
roots off
that.
the trees.
Yeah, the only tree that would be an issue would be the one big tree in the front. And we've got plenty of room around that. We can leave that mounded up, and we can easily roll that into that sidewalk with no problem at all, without disturbing any of those roots, those big roots. So
Will that assist with the drainage issue that we have now? Because we know in very heavy rain, water comes
into the building, yeah, and that's,
And the discussion that
you don't want to do that.
we had when you started your project was this was an opportunity for us to lower our grade of
Absolutely.
the front lawns to keep the water going the right way.
Yeah, and that's certainly what we'd recommend that you do.
So you shot that and you can
Yeah.
make it drain out.
Absolutely. Yeah, you got a lot of tape to take down. And the one big tree that we're concerned about, it's not really a problem. You just leave that mounded up around that tree, you won't take anything off there. And we can roll that edge right down into the sidewalk. Real
You say
easily.
we can. Who's the we?
Him.
No.
Are we talking about
Well,
the contractor?
no. I know you guys said you'd do your own dirt work there, and that's fine, but we would help with that, and we'd certainly help with any around that tree or any areas that you might have problems with.
Okay, what happened to the discussion about the retaining wall? Where did that go by the wayside?
Well, the retaining wall was, whether we needed one or not, we needed to see where our elevation ended up, on the sidewalks and what that looked like. And the retaining wall would really prevent you from being able to correct your drainage issue. If we put a retaining wall in there, you're not going to be able to drop this very much. Make sure it wouldn't drain as well if you had a wall there.
My conversation with you about this was, and we kind of left it pretty open because you were originally thinking you were going to put a full retaining wall.
We thought that we might have to go down. We thought that a change in the elevation at that corner might be as much as 18 inches.
Right.
And if it was, we might have to do a retaining wall.
Right, and then you and I spoke, and I think we being the county, I represent the county with this conversation, we talked about, I would really kind of leave it in your hands and the contractor's hands, Langston, to determine what do we need to do to fix our drainage? But I was under the impression there was going to be some wall. We just didn't know how high it would be based upon what needed to be done to fix the drainage problem. So when we found that there was no wall at all, that was kind of a surprise to us, to be honest, because we kind of left it in your hands. You guys tell us what we as the county need to do to fix our drainage with whatever wall you leave up.
Yeah, and that was kind of our situation also, because we fully expected that our elevation of that sidewalk at that corner was going to be 18 inches or maybe more below the existing elevation, the grass elevation, and it turned out not to be at all. We're only 10 inches below, and so if we had suspected that before, known that, we would never have recommended a retaining wall at all. We just thought we were going to end up. We thought we were going to end up a lot lower than we had to. So, at this space with 10 inches, I wouldn't recommend any kind of retaining wall at all. You barely got enough room there to improve that drainage. As it is.
You're thinking that whoever would put the wall in, you don't think we need a retaining wall at all?
I wouldn't advise putting a retaining wall at all there. You're not going to get the kind of drainage.
Just cut it down and let it slope down around.
So if we were to cut that down and tie it into the existing sidewalk instead of this 10-inch thing, one of my concerns is now, if we put an underground sprinkler system in there, either then we have to come back up into the center of the yard and try to get our sprinkle pattern to come out to the edge of the concrete, or put an underground sprinkler head here and try to shoot up over that hump. So I did not shoot it by any means. I've gone out there with Mike Langston and our maintenance guy. We looked at this elevation. There is a negative slope back to the building, no argument about that. To correct that, the whole yard would need to come out. Shaving this is not going to solve the issue of drainage, I can tell you that. We can backfill up against the foundation of the courthouse to get some of that sloped away from the building. And then that would give us at least getting that water directed away from the foundation. It's not, we do not have a positive slope to get clear to the sidewalk. So it's not going to solve the drainage issue by itself, in my opinion.
So to solve it, you would either need to build up the dirt here or remove more.
Correct, and it's really not feasible to come up much higher than about 8 or 9 inches on that foundation wall. So we've just got a high spot out there in that yard, and
Is that low in
around
there?
the base of those
Is
two
that a
trees.
low spot, Tom?
This would be a low spot out
That's a low
here.
spot right now.
Yeah, we need to fill that.
So
You'll have plenty of dirt to fill it with. You
yeah,
just move it around.
and then the problem is you strip all the sod off of that.
And then you got to resod it.
I believe we are going to get into a root zone if we go back more than about 6 feet. We certainly can't get up around the tree that's closest to the sidewalk. There's already roots protruding out where the excavation was done for the sidewalk. So whether it's enough damage to the roots to cause harm to the tree, I doubt it. But
we're looking at, that close to the surface around that tree. We're seeing small roots, but we're not seeing any big roots that we're going to get into. And that's really where your problem would be. If we damaged any big roots, there'd be an issue, but those small roots aren't going to.
Yeah.
if we don't do a retaining wall, then we have to strip off the sod and remove the material, and then that either needs to be resodded or seeded, grass seeded back. I think a retaining wall would look nicer in the long run, but again, it's not going to do anything to alleviate any drainage problems.
No, and once you put the retaining wall in, you're kind of stuck with it, and then you don't ever get to fix that.
Basically.
You don't get to fix your problem.
That's true. That's one thing to think about.
And other than stripping their blankets and putting up their handrails, they're done here.
Pretty much done, yeah.
They asphalted yesterday.
Yeah.
They're going to be in the county for another week or two from the sounds of it, because they got some other projects going.
We'll be on Highway 96 right at here starting today. They're already there. We'll be there for a couple weeks.
So who are we thinking about cutting this dirt for?
Well, I did talk to Gary Hyde about that. he said that he would be willing to bring his equipment and men up to do that if that's what we wanted to do. I put a hold on that based on our conversation today, on the outcome of our conversation today. So I don't think it's reasonable to think without a sod cutter that we can strip the sod and save it.
That isn't worth it.
So,
I've had a lot of good luck reseeding, throw some hay on it, Tom, and a friend of mine just did it, and the yard's overrun with grass.
It's a good time of the year to do that, and the sod is pretty dormant as it is.
Yeah.
So it's not really.
If we're going to do it, I think
certainly could be done. We're a little early in the frost season yet. We'll have to drain hoses every day that he waters it, but I would recommend holding off maybe another week or two before we try to seed it.
Yeah.
But I don't have a problem trying to reseed it.
Yeah.
It's not like we get a lot of foot traffic on there. So.
No.
Were the handrails included in the original project?
No, handrails are not. The town's going to take care of that. We're not going to put any handrails up or safety railing up until after the CDOT inspector comes and inspects and tells us exactly where to put those. One of the problems with CDOT is if you talk to two
right away.
If you talk to two people about where you need handrails or safety rails, you get two different answers. If you talk to three people, you get three different answers. So we're going to wait. We're going to wait till the inspector comes.
So why handrails and not? It's handrails down the ramp.
Yeah.
Okay, not the benches that you put up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wasn't really room for a bench there on the end.
So that's what I was going to ask. Okay.
Well, gentlemen, what's your general feeling?
I think we go ahead and do it.
I don't think we have much choice. I think we can't leave it the way it is, obviously. I mean, that's not appropriate. I would be inclined, this is really not my bailiwick, okay, but I would be inclined to slope it back up towards the tree that's up here and
take the dirt and put it in the low spot.
Yeah, and just not really worry about this part at this point. I mean, I'm really not in favor of a sprinkler system. I don't know where the money would come from, and I would assume it's going to be fairly
We can put that
expensive.
in later.
You know, I don't know. I would say the minimal would be to cut this back to whatever seems reasonable, and at least we'll cut some of the drainage that was starting here, coming back. At least it'll start here and go back.
I'm betting when they do it, it'll be good.
Yeah, when I talked to Gary Hyde, we also talked about taking whatever material we remove here, cut it here, and add it back against the foundation, enough to at least get us some positive flow.
And they can find a little bit of topsoil and bring it in there. It's not, it doesn't cost anything to speak of.
The topsoil that you have out here right now is very, very good. And there's
pretty dark.
Very thick. There's plenty of it.
Okay. General consensus in, I will pursue with Mr. Hyde, and we'll get her peeled back and at least get the ankle breaking potential out of there as soon as we can.
You know, from the other side of the fence that I live on, those steps were a nightmare to me. We knew they were broken, there were pieces missing, and the liability to the town was significant, so we alleviated that and made a new one.
And we got a sidewalk for them.
What a great project. I mean, obviously, I just can't praise Langston's crew enough. They're all over it. They get after it. They get it done. It's done right. And thank you to the town of Westcliff for committing the funds to do that. It's not a cheap project by any means, but certainly is a huge improvement up and down Main Street as well as right here. So thank you for that. We appreciate it from our standpoint.
We would have liked to have done more. Had we been able to afford it, we'd have done the whole sidewalk and changed those steps out front and a lot of other things. But
you blew all the money downtown.
Blew all the
already.
money downtown. Yep.
All right, sir. Well, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you. And again, we'll help with that, moving that dirt.
All right.
If you want. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see what Gary thinks.
Gary's equipment's pretty big.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get a big loader in here and we can do it in a second.
Well, thank you for coming.
Ready. Thank you.
And, good job on the mayor's race.
Yeah, the election's over. Election's over. All right, thank you, sir.
Is it really? I didn't realize it was that quick.
Yesterday.
Yesterday, huh? How did I miss that? I
Our
was
next
busy
item
doing
of
this.
New business is
Owen is the new mayor.
Did he win?
Well,
M&G Investments.
officially, they got it certified, but
Welcome,
to
sir.
this point.
How are you?
I'm doing good. Nice to see you.
Good,
Tom.
thank you. Have a
Mr.
seat.
Kanda.
Yeah.
Good morning, sir.
Nice to see you.
See you again. You just got off the airplane. I just ran in here.
Well, yeah, I caught a late flight last night. It's economical, but then you have to pay the price. And
34.
I was able to sleep, but
21,
in the rent-a-car, you had to wait till you're shut on.
Gosh.
But, I was kind of prepared for it. I took 2 days prior to that to gear up for this trip, and here we are. And
I'm glad you
certainly,
made it.
yeah, and I'm glad I made it too. I think the meeting was really important because I'm not coming in as a neighbor or someone saying, "Hey guys, I'm selling this building, and this is our price. It's $279 with a realtor. They'll get the commissions. Let them have at it." That's not the whole idea behind this. Originally, when we bought this building in 1993, when I got to the Valley, I drove by that building for a couple of years, and I just kept looking at it. And I said, that thing's a beautiful building. I just would love to fix it up someday. So I created a vision in my own head because I had to have help in order to start that project. And I was fortunate enough to be able to get that building and start the thing. And so, I sent you the files, and you could see what it was like and what was happening and then what it's like now. And certainly we never took any shortcuts. We met all the state requirements for the exterior, and then on the interior we altered a few things because we needed to bring it state of the art so that we would make use of it currently. I think the plan is that being a part of this community for 13 years and the love and the work that we do to make it here, and I think it's more important that we come up with a plan and try to work it out. How do we preserve this building and keep it with the county, and then the county can control its destiny with guidance through different departments or different fundraisers or grants. And certainly I attempted that when I first started to work on the building, because there's a lot of other things that can be done to it that brings it back to its original look. And we left some things unfinished because of that. Minor, but on the outside, for example, the north porch, that's supposed to be a picket porch, and we have it in the pictures and things like that. So we had it in there in the vision to continue this thing and to bring it to full circle. So basically, I've been the keeper of the gate for 22 years, and I did stick my neck out a little heavy. It took me a while to get this thing going. It was 1999 before I got it finished. Well, when that man, Archie, has started that project, it took him 3 years to build that stone house. It's 24 inches in the walls. And so the architecture on the inside is still original, as far as all the exterior things like that. And the Victorian Tower is just done according to the specs of the Historical Society. So those are our intentions, is to preserve this thing as part of the master plan. I'm familiar with the master plan because it was being worked on at the time when I was living here, and there were some committees going on that were giving support to it, and they actually have the Mercier House mentioned in the master plan under the state registry. So it's certainly recognized, but the most important thing is there's a very close relationship between the courthouse and the Mercier House, and that's the original groundbreaking of this courthouse. The picture can be seen in the hallway where Mrs. Mercier is there in that picture doing the groundbreaking for the courthouse. And certainly that to me is a very, very huge relationship going back to the day ones. So I think more importantly, I'm in a situation where I love this building a lot, and for me to let go of it, it's only going to have to go like to you guys or someone or the historical people. Maybe we can work something out.
What are you thinking? What do you mean work it out?
Well, my partner said maybe we can do some kind of terms or something like that, and then the county can still collect the revenue. But I have 5 or 6 ideas of what that building can be used for on behalf of the county's use. And one, there's future growth and expansion.
What are your other ideas, like tourism board?
Well, I
stuff
think
like
that if the Historical Society got involved with it, the county would have their own little museum right here. I know what it would take on the inside to bring it back into it. We did some things in there to make sure that we kept the originality. For example, it had knob and tube wiring. So on those stone walls, there, to be of code, I had to put electrical in. So we took air hammers and chiseled the mortar and actually heated the conduit and grooved it into the mortar to get the electrical approved. And so that way when the baseboards lay flush, everything's flush. So there's no protruding wires or anything like that. So there's a lot of things that we did extra to that building to keep that look. But it, there's child care, there's health services. There's some different departments that you have that are independent. They have
How many square feet was it?
I think it's total. It's 1,900.
What you said, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's 1,200 down and 700 up. And it's on separate meters and things like that, where we designed it to break it down to fit people's economies on rental and.
I asked you when I first met you if you had any interest in donating this building. Would you? Can I ask that question again?
Yeah. In a perfect world, or in my situation, I would have. What I've encumbered over the last 4 years financially, it's likely that I've had people that have helped to support me, but I need to, as I get older, I need to take care of that. And the stone house is the thing I love the most, and I wish I could, and so it took a convincing for me to come here and say, let's sell this thing, because in my heart I didn't want to sell it. I was going to let my kids have it, and then. But it just
see along Jay's thinking here.
Yeah.
I'm with him there. There might be ways, if you're thinking about terms of some kind, you're going to have to come up with a proposal for us to consider, because we're not going to be in a position to say, here's what we want to do.
No, this is a plan.
If you can come up with $50 a week, I'm happy, or whatever, or give us the right to sell it at some point, or you got to come up with something.
How much are you asking for the property?
Okay, if we listed it with the broker in town, it'd be $279. Okay, so because I've worked on the replacement costs and things like that, it's hard to appraise stuff in town. I've been in the business, so I was licensed and broker here for those years that I lived here, and I'm still licensed today.
You were here when our treasurer was speaking to us a little while ago about.
We're broke.
I understand, and I understand budgets.
That's the problem.
We've always had problems in our community with the budgeting. It's always been a tough, tight race. I've followed it for years. I've been on the fire department for 6.5 years.
I want to make everybody, and please, newspapers, we're not going backwards. We're growing.
Yeah.
But we got to be careful and how we grow forward.
So the plan is that we're open on the pricing, but we had to have something established in case I had to make the decision down the road to make the listing. So there's our established price. Don't need a broker. We have an attorney. I have a title company. Things like that. So commissions can be waived and things like that. So you can be creative about that. But where it was terms for the county. So the owner financing could be 30 years at 5%. That's what we have with the CMB. Is 5%.
So what's the payment on that? That's like $3,000 a month.
No, it depends. You got to come. You got to come. It'd be about $1,500 a month, but you have to come up. What would that down payment be? And
there are other issues there, because unless the taxpayers approve it, the taxpayers' bill of right tabor precludes us from entering into a long-term purchase that takes over a year.
Okay.
So that's just a complication.
Sure.
One of the other problems we'd have, not only with that building, but the building we have now, is ADA accessibility. The upstairs would be of no use to the county as a public building without an elevator. That's a huge issue for us. We're struggling with it right here in this building as well. We're struggling with it in the search and rescue building. If it's a public building, it has to have ADA accessibility if the upstairs is
part of the museum,
open to the public. If it's not, then that's not an issue.
Well, on the assessor's books, the upstairs is separate from the bottom. The bottom is commercial, and then the upstairs is assessed as residential.
And is there somebody living in there now?
Yes, we have a family. I guess she's the manager over at the bowling alley. And, and they've done a nice job in keeping it clean. I've had some rough tenants in the past, and sometimes you wonder how good your work is. Put some people like in Silver Cliff, what I went through with that, and by the end of the day, it's in really good shape again because we put the quality into it in the beginning. And that's what we did here, like the water line, putting a water line from the main highway to the end of the 5 feet deep. So we had to have a digger in there, a little excavator, dig that hole all the way around and bring it and bring the new water lines in, all the propane lines. Everything was done brand new. So, gas, everything. So it was quite a project. But I think what we're trying to come up with is that how can we bond the county with us and to try to start to tie it up.
Have you thought of other out-of-the-box things? The medical center's wanting to do things. Maybe there's a doctor's office kind of thing that could be in the bottom of that thing that's doing things. I mean, I don't know. I'm just throwing out ideas.
No, I think so.
A nurse, wellness center, whatever.
Well, certainly that are all options, but if my idea or my partner and I's idea was to keep this thing going on the historical side, and let's tie it up, let's get the Historical Society involved, and let's try to work together, even if I have to be part of a committee, which I'm not a stranger of. I was on part of the support with the clinic, and some donations there too. I mean, and 4-H. I mean, so I understand how we have to work together. And so I'm here as a willing person to try to come up with some kind of an idea that we can keep this and yet help me financially get out from some of the equity that I have involved in that project. So it's a humble thing, but it's what life in reality is today for myself and my family.
Well, I think, I can't speak for the Board of County Commissioners, I think that there are other avenues to go. I don't think it's incumbent upon the county to try to maintain the historical value and whatever of this building any more than it is any other entity in this county. Certainly, Historical Society, I would think, should be at the foremost of any entity wanting to preserve that. The county's purview is not to go around preserving buildings. Granted, it's close. It has some historical connection to the county. But I would think the town of Westcliff and the Historical Society would be more appropriate to go at than the county.
Or like a separate entity, like the train guys are doing their thing, and so are other historical pieces up here.
But on the other end of the spectrum, even though it does have that state and that historical side, having the possession of that land and having the possession of that to complete the county block, and there's still revenue coming in, and that's on the low end. At times I had revenue coming in at $1,500 a month on that place because I had it separated at the bottom and the top. And it was easier for me to manage that building when I was here. Now I rely on a property manager, and he does a great job. But we had to also go with the flux of.
But our job is not to do that. Our job is to attract people that could do that. We want the revenue. We want to grow. We want things to happen. And a museum is a great idea, and build that in. But we don't operate that. We can't afford to do that.
I understand.
We want to provide the services to make it possible for you to do things.
Well, I tried for 3 years to get help financially, and I was turned down.
Yeah.
And even with all I don't know if you saw how many letters I had, and they came from a lot of the entities in the valley at the time. And even with those letters, I couldn't get the funding. And they're saying, and otherwise that could have gone in a direction of a national level. But I had to turn around and make a financial decision. At what point do we stop and say, okay, we'll keep it?
Well, are you afraid to go after somebody that has the same interests as you do? I have a friend that I could talk to. I mean, he loves the history of this valley, likes the stone houses, would invest in it for an investment. But I think there are people out there that would love to grab a hold of something like that.
And I understand
And I
that.
understand why you want to have us keep it as part of the courthouse, but they could still claim that, can't they? It's on the same
Well,
block and they made a museum out
Yeah,
of it.
but I certainly understand that, but I was also coming in to say the county, this is next door to the county.
Well-
And down the road, and who knows what'll happen in 20 years or 30 years, you know.
We don't want to tear it down.
That could have almost happened.
Yeah, well, you know, I'll be honest with you, and we had this discussion a little bit on the phone.
Yeah.
As a commissioner, I don't think we have any business buying that house
Okay.
because it's next door to this courthouse. If
Okay.
it was a business or a building that we could utilize, we need space. There's no question about that. But we do, and this is me as commissioner speaking for me, not for these two gentlemen.
Right.
Because we all have our constituents to answer to, and I would think as a taxpayer, anybody would say, why are you buying that building? You have needs for space. Is that going to solve that? The answer to that, in my opinion, is no. One, because it's two-story, and we need office spaces. The county does not need a museum or a daycare center or a medical office, although those would be great uses of that. I don't see that as being a demand, a pressing need for the county. We've got pressing needs. If we didn't have, then I would say that for me, the conversation would go a different direction, John. That,
Okay.
yeah, I'm not discounting the idea that there's value in that historical building. I'm not saying it didn't worth anything. As a county, I don't think we have business investing in that for the historical value. That's, you've heard from Tom Flower.
Right. And, you know, I understand, and I think that's what it, you know, even with trying to work with the county and getting it, I understand, and so then we'll move on to the next step.
That's my opinion.
Yeah.
These gentlemen are certainly more than welcome to share their opinions with you. I'm just trying to be honest because I feel like I owe that to you. You made the effort.
Well, with a lot of things that I fixed in this building, when you gave me that lead for the Historical Society, I call that number and it's disconnected.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, and so, I tried it 2 times because I've been known to misdial. And so, but it
wrong number or something?
Well, it just said it was
the Historical Society is pretty much
The Fremont Custers, that?
Custer.
Yeah, so once I probably, walk from the offices here, then we go to the next journey and move.
How big was that lot? It's not that big.
It's 4 lots.
Can I make a suggestion, Mr. Goldman?
Sure.
We need space here. The county needs space. Maybe you would want to make a proposal to us. And please don't fly back out here. I hate for you to spend that money.
Well, I needed to get out of the house.
Okay.
This
All right,
is to
that's
see
fine.
how well I do.
I feel
This is
bad
a
that-
test trip,
Well, I feel bad that you came all the way over.
You shouldn't.
Okay, because
I see a lot of friends on these trips.
You got a vested interest.
I got a lot of people
Okay.
here I know.
I feel
so-
much better then.
Yeah.
But let me make just a thought. Rather than just say, no, we're not interested. Maybe you would be interested, maybe we would be interested if you made a proposal to us like, I'll lease it to you over a 10-year period or a 15-year period at a very reasonable rate with an option to purchase at the end or at any time during that 10-year period. That solves our Tabor issue, taxpayer bill of rights issue. But if the lease is low enough, I mean, I know you heard us speak with the Veterans Service Office, and he has issues on space. I mean, maybe if there's a low enough lease, we would be willing to lease it and have the option to buy it down the road. I don't know if that's something you would
Depends on
entertain.
timing.
I don't know if they would entertain this, but I would certainly look at it much more favorably than us writing a check to you from a bank account that is already in the red. I mean,
I
to be
respect
real
that a
honest
lot.
with you.
Do you have an idea what a lease amount? Because
That's
if you're
why I
bringing it
said
up,
you need to bring a proposal
You've
to
been
us.
bringing it up, so you must have thought a little bit
No,
about
I
it.
did not think about it.
So-
I was thinking how, my mind while we were talking about this
Okay.
is not for us, you brought up some wonderful points. It is on our block. It is a beautiful building. It fits with our courthouse. it would be a shame if someone opens up a pet store there. Okay, I know that. I'm throwing out stupidity.
Unless you like dogs.
It
But what I'm
won't have a
trying to
liquor
say
license
is
as long as I own it.
giving the opportunity down the road to potentially own it
I wouldn't want a
would be
marijuana dispensary.
worthwhile to the county.
hemp.
It would also be worthwhile if we had the space to use it. So it would have to, I mean, we've talked about how we're going to add more space. We have long-term plans, but those may be as much as 10 years out. We have some immediate needs. So if the lease, I mean, I would certainly like to look at, I don't know what the inside looks like, I don't know if it could even be used for offices or whatever, but all of that could be retrofitted. I
It
know
was
that.
totally wired and designed for offices and stuff, so we,
Jay's got a good point.
yeah, I like that, I
Short term,
I'm just
maybe
trying to,
I
just
like that.
I don't
because
want to discount it
something
completely.
temporary for us to move people in and out while we're doing some other things and then turn it over to somebody else. It could be in the cards. But we got to think out of the box a little bit.
Okay,
But
so-
right now, I can tell you, we're not interested in buying that building.
Okay, well, that's good, and you know, I think that the lease would be the next logical option to keep that
If the
relationship.
county's involved.
Yeah.
If not, a for sale sign would be the right way to go, I would
I
think.
understand.
So I agree with
I think that I'm more comfortable trying to work with my partner on getting the lease idea sold to him, because he's the one that will help support me, knowing that there's a secured that deal or short-term relationship. In
Make
that
it as short
respect.
term as you want,
Yeah,
because
15.
even a year or two might help us as we move people in and out of buildings
Yeah.
as we try to grow different.
Yeah, we should do
On the
the.
contrary, I would love to see a longer-term
Well, it
lease
could be.
with an option to purchase.
I
at some
think
point.
that the long-term is more of something that would be
Just a thought.
entertaining than a short-term lease. So I think that that's a really great
Just
idea.
give us some
I really do.
ideas.
So I think a 15-year lease, and then, you know, maybe, and I'll throw these numbers, I'll make a quick phone call and then be back in 10 minutes, but maybe $1,000 a month for 15 years, I don't know, because, you know,
You guys better do some more thinking than that.
okay. Well,
You're right.
because, well, you know, because I'm not getting, the only thing we're getting is more of a longer-term commitment. We're not really getting the money out of that building that it can potentially get, even right now, so.
What restrictions are on that property because it's Colorado Historical Society? It's on the register, state register.
What can't you do?
Good question.
It's still in the B zoning, so I just can't do stuff on the outside.
Can't change, you can't go and remodel.
Inside you can, outside you want to keep it like that. If you want to add a building to it, and then you show the design that shows it's something compatible, like you make it look like a chicken coop and it's still a building, and then you can have some things in there or whatever. But that's stuff that if you want to keep that sound, then we go to the Historical Society, and I certainly can help with things. You know, I'm not a stranger to these programs. And Irene and Stan Francis did a wonderful job helping me, and they worked out of more love than they did for money, because they wanted to see that thing preserved. So, you know, my hat's off to the team that helped me. It's, you know, I just believe in it. That's all. So I'll come up with an idea on a lease, and but I just made an offer, but nobody came back with a lower amount. See, so
Hit us with something with a purchase option.
okay. Do you want me to put it on a contract then, on a paper? I mean, I
You
can.
could just handwrite it out,
All
just
right.
as something else to
Some
evaluate.
ideas.
Okay.
And what I would suggest, and I'm speaking for myself again, a purchase option at any time during the term of the lease, that type of thing, would be beneficial.
Sure, I don't have a problem with the purchase at any time, you know, as long as 30-day notice for tenant or whatever, you think,
of
you know,
course,
basic
of
stuff. The only thing it does for me is that
If we leased it.
my biggest fear right now, I still have a note on that, on the building, and that's what we're trying to get that note taken care of.
Sure.
So it's not a huge note, but it depends on what side of the fence you're on. So,
Exactly.
yeah, so, but it's still $30-something thousand, and we're trying to free that note up. That's the goal.
We'll pay off the note.
so-
Take the building.
So,
There's your low offer right there.
And then as far as our
Heavy
site
counter.
tour, which is another reason that you were here, I've done it. I'm willing to go look around the outside of it again. I am not interested in going on the inside.
Right.
As long as somebody's
Well, they know that we were going to come over, but that's fine. I mean, the inside is, most of it's all original on the bottom floor, except for the walls. That would be have to pulled, and then you just re-put the sheetrock in. I did it with wood, and then the upstairs, that one's done like an apartment, so it's a little bit more modified.
Modern.
Yeah, I mean, to get the permit on it and the occupancy, it took a while because of the process of that's an old building, but it came out really nice. So it's done really well, and it's gonna be there longer than me, I have a feeling. So.
Well, I certainly think it would be utility for the county to be involved in that building.
I think that's a great proposal.
And it was just a suggestion.
Right, and so whether I know you have a meeting on the 18th, but I'm here for 5 days. I would like to just go ahead, work out all of this, and then submit it to Brenda's office, to her desk, and then she can just forward it to you while I'm here. So is it okay in the notes or in the minutes that we can just have that as a follow-up? I'll give it, and you guys will review it.
I would appreciate it.
Okay.
Thanks for being flexible enough to discuss this.
Well, no, and this is what we, I had a long meeting with my friend on it, and he's, he knows that I'm needing to do some other stuff, so so he's willing to work with that lease if it did come up. So, all right, thanks.
I don't need to go on a site tour, gentlemen.
No, I gave you enough pictures. I mean, we did.
No, I've been in there.
Thank you. And so,
Thanks.
all right.
Okay, thank you, Dylan.
Sure. Thank you. Bye, Kelly.
Have a good stay while you're here.
I missed you last time, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
You're welcome. Okay. Any other new business to come before the board at this time, gentlemen?
Not for me, sir.
Nor do I. Mr. Kanda?
Negative.
Move into a public comment period. Ladies?
Is there any property you could trade for?
That's a possibility. That's a very good suggestion. I thought.
That he
Not
can,
really.
he can sell?
We don't
I
have
don't
enough.
even know.
The impression I got, he was looking to get finances to pay it off.
Right.
But he
But
may
if you
entertain
could
that
sell
too.
property, I don't know. I just thought, I don't know what we have.
It's an outside the box
It
thought. It's
depends
a
on
good
whether
one.
you want it or not.
It's a good thought. We'll see what the lease says. If that doesn't work, we'll ask him that question. Good thought.
I think he's more interested in getting the cash.
Other comments?
We don't know.
Hearing none, meeting is adjourned. Let the record show it is 11:07.
Are we recessing until, is that another meeting?
No, we were going to adjourn.
That's just a separate board meeting.
Okay,
The weed advisory board
right,
has nothing to do with it.
okay.
Yeah.
Is that at 2
Yeah.
o'clock?
2 o'clock, yes. So this meeting is adjourned.